Today I'm going to take you on a little bit of a drive. I am on Highway 290 at Fitzhugh Road out towards Dripping Springs. I'm about 15 minutes from downtown Dripping Springs. And I'm going to show you what a drive into downtown Austin looks like at 9 a.m. on a Friday morning. Now, I will apologize a little bit. We've got some rain, so you're going to see my windshield wipers. But let's get this turned around. Let's take a look at Austin traffic at 9 a.m. All right, so like I mentioned, Dripping Springs is about 15 minutes behind me, but I'm only about a mile from Belterra. Belterra is one of the communities. It's actually in my top Austin neighborhoods or top Austin subdivisions under $1 million. Great little subdivision out here between Austin and Dripping Springs. It's the closest you can get to downtown Austin and still be in Dripping Springs ISD, which is kind of a really good designation for Belterra. A lot of people are trying to get into Dripping Springs ISD, but stay close to downtown. So this drive should be roughly, we'll call it 20 to 30 minutes. We're going to hit some traffic at the Y. We're going to hit some traffic on Mopac as we're coming up north, but should be a pretty smooth drive overall. I mean, speed limit on 290 here is 60. I'm doing 60 now, and you know, not real bad. But as we're cruising in, I will make note of a few things to you. I'll show you they're doing a lot of work on 290 now. The freeway used to end at what we call the Y in Southwest Austin, and the Y is where 290 and 71 split if you're going away from Austin or come together as we're doing today. We're going into Austin, and it's been a source of a lot of issues for a long time. It's just been a lot of traffic as you come off of a freeway doing 70 miles an hour, and all of a sudden you have 3 stoplights within a mile and about 6 or 7 stoplights total before you can get cruising going to Dripping Springs. So where I started at Fitzhugh is gonna be the first stoplight going to Dripping Springs from the airport. Now, typically from my house, which is about 5 miles down Fitzhugh, in the morning when we go normally, you know, before 7 a.m. to catch a flight, that's when we like to fly out because traffic is nothing at that time. When we fly out early in the morning, we have about a 30-minute drive, 25-minute drive to the airport. Now, truth be told, at that time of morning, I probably speed a little more than I should, you know, doing 75, maybe 80 when I hit 290, but it's a pretty easy drive in the morning. So right now we are coming into what's going to be the end of the extension. This is the beginning of the construction right now going into Austin. You can see we've got traffic on the other side, but this is a split highway, and right here where you're seeing these sidewalls come up, this road was about 10 feet higher than where we are right now. And as we go down into the bottom, you're going to see the big wall on the left, everything that they've cut down to this point. So this is where the freeway is going to end. What I'm driving on now is going to be the access road to the freeway. We've got a couple little subdivisions here to the right and to the left. And this light here used to be the light, well, still is until the traffic is gone. But this is the first light of Circle Drive. And where I came out of Fitzhugh, there's another light for Circle Drive there. It's called Circle Drive because it circles back around to hit 290. And we just passed under where Circle Drive is actually going to go across 290. And then it's going to become an access road and a merge lane here on the right as we go in. So, you know, from this point in where I'm in traffic now, this is going to be freeway probably in about a year and a half to 2 years. I feel like they're making pretty good progress. I've got a cousin who's an engineer for TxDOT. He said that they are ahead of schedule, but a lot of that had to do with how dry it was this summer. They were working without any worry of weather aside from the heat, but that really didn't stop them. They did most of their work on these roads at night, so they didn't interrupt traffic. So, you know, this here is still going to be the access road. To the left, there's going to be raised lanes. I believe it's 2 in each direction, all the way to the freeway. Right here, we're crossing what is Scenic Brook. This is going to be an overpass here. Scenic Brook is going to cut off to the right. So again, the main road is going to be here to our left. And then coming up over here, Scenic Brook's a cool little area. Here to the left is what we usually refer to as the Y in terms of housing. It's called Windmill Run. It's one of those things that it was for a long time, it was the most affordable housing you could purchase and have your kids go to Bowie High School. That is still the case. The housing has gotten a little bit more expensive, but from a cost effectiveness standpoint, the Y, Windmill Run, this area right in here is still one of the lowest barriers to entry for getting into Bowie High School, which has since it opened, I believe in '88, has been a really good high school. You see here on the left, we've got more commercial coming in, and that's going to happen anytime you start moving these roads out, making it easier for people to move out to Dripping Springs. From downtown Dripping Springs to downtown Austin, I always say is about 45 minutes, and this is probably going to cut at least 10 minutes off of that, because you see all the lights that we're going under here, and all of these lights, you know, I'll go ahead and say it. I mentioned my cousin being an engineer. For the last 2 years, I just gave him nothing but grief on these lights because TxDOT could never get these things synced up. As you saw, we went through about 4 or 5 of them there with no problem, and all of a sudden we stopped. So even at 9 o'clock traffic in the morning, you know, rush hour traffic or the tail end of rush hour traffic, TxDOT refuses to sync their lights to keep the main flow of traffic moving. And so again, this extension of 290 is going to be very, very welcome. This light that we're waiting at now, about to go through, this is 1826. If you take a right here, this goes all the way out to Driftwood, which is a little bit southeast of Dripping Springs. Got a brand new HEB here on the corner. Circle C, Southwest Austin, all of that stuff is off to the right. Of Vanya, all of the Gray Rock Golf Course, all of the stuff that used to be really, really exclusive and still is for Southwest Austin is off to our right here. That all also goes to Bowie High School, just in case you're wondering. So if you took a right at 1826 there, you could go and catch 45, which is going to end up being the loop all the way around the south side of Austin. And they say they want to extend it all the way around Austin. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but that's where 45 is. And then 45 will catch Mopac on the very south end. And Mopac is what we're going to end up turning on here off of 290 to go into downtown Austin. And I'll mention some of these other roads here. This road is Convict Hill. It goes all the way across to Brody, which is one of the main north-south. I shouldn't call it a main road because Mopac is a main road, but you know, we'll call it one of the additional roads that go north-south. That is, you know, that goes a long way. It goes from Sunset Valley, which connects to 290. So Brody Lane will hit 290, but it goes all the way south to 1626, which then goes into Kyle and Buda. So that's a very highly traveled road. I mentioned 45 earlier. Right now, 45 is it dead ends essentially into 1626, but it's going to end up going all the way to I-35 in the short term. That road is already under construction, so that's happening pretty quickly. Okay, as we're going through here again, you can notice we've got apartments coming in, got a Starbucks up to the right. We have this is where the HEB used to be to the left, but there's some commercial in here. This is technically the Y. This is where, if you see these cars coming in right over here on the left-hand side, this is 71. 71 goes out to Marble Falls. Marble Falls is another good option for housing right now. They've got a lot of new homes going in. Price points are good, but from this point out to Marble Falls, you're looking at probably 40 to 45 minutes. So you're about an hour to downtown Austin in total. But, you know, Marble Falls is out with Lake Marble Falls, Lake LBJ, Inks Lake. Those are the Highland Lakes out above Lake Travis and Lake Austin, all on the Colorado River arm out there. As we're sitting here, this area is going to get built up quite a bit more. There's already plans for high rises, apartments, stuff like that. We've got additional apartments coming in over here to the left. This is just going to be a giant overpass. The road that's coming in from Dripping Springs is going to meet the road, 71 coming in from Spicewood and Marble Falls. and it's going to be a giant overpass over the top of us here, and that's what's going to be the extension. You should be able to see this crane here in front of me, and you might be able to see the concrete buttresses behind it. That's where that overpass is going to go. And I just started doing these videos. I hope this stuff helps you out. If there are specific drives, if you're coming from out of town, if there's specific drives you want to take that you would like to see at rush hour, let me know. It may take me a couple of weeks to get to it, but I should be able to get videos shot for most of the drives. And what I'm working on now is, I mentioned earlier the top neighborhoods under $1 million, and I also did a video that was the top 6 suburbs of Austin. I'm working on drive times for all of those videos right now, and driving videos to let you know what those drives are about. But if you want to know, hey, what's the drive like from Circle C in the morning, or Easton Park, or Georgetown, or whatever, just let me know. I'm more than happy to do that for you. And if this content is interesting to you, if you're getting value out of this, I'd ask you to subscribe and maybe even click that bell notification if you want to get notified when I bring out new content. But again, only if it's of value to you. Obviously, if you're not getting anything out of this, there's no need for you to subscribe to the channel. This is by far the longest wait right here, and we're waiting on the light for William Cannon. Again, William Cannon is a pretty major road that goes east-west. It goes out to Southwest Parkway, which is another bypass from downtown to get out to Spicewood, to our west. And it goes east all the way. I think at this point, William Cannon may go all the way out to 183 by the airport. Now, you wouldn't want to take that drive unless there was a major accident on 290. It just takes too long because of all the lights. But you could technically take a right at this light and get all the way out to the airport, or at least to 183 out by the airport. So it's one of the old roads that was a staple in old Austin, when none of these highways existed. And again, you can see here on the left, we've got this is where that overpass is going to be. So we're technically on an access road right now. I'm drinking coffee. I go back and forth on whether or not I should play music in my radio on these, because I think YouTube would get upset about it because I don't have permission for that music. So I apologize. I'll try to get my editor to put on some music after the fact, just so the drive's not quite as boring. This area here to the left, I mentioned William Cannon goes out to Southwest Parkway. This is known as the Southwest Tech Corridor, and I've been driving for about 12 minutes now. So if you were in Belterra and you're working in the Southwest Tech Corridor, you would take a left here, and this would get you to, I'm trying to think, the names of the companies change sometimes. Freescale was out there. I believe NVIDIA was out there. This is where Yeti, like the coolers, this is where their office is out here to the left along Southwest Parkway. And there's a lot of office buildings out there now, and a lot of smaller tech companies have moved in there. That's why they call it the Southwest Tech Corridor. Tech Ridge in that area is North Austin, and then moving northeast to Taylor with the Samsung plant. But the Southwest Tech Corridor is here, and a lot of the people that work that Southwest Tech Corridor try to get into Belterra. Again, the closest commute, but also Dripping Springs ISD schools, and then also Headwaters and High Point. Those would be some of the next subdivisions in there. So right now we are up on the freeway. You can see the traffic is opened up after that light. I mentioned that light's kind of a backup right now because you have the Y, you have 71 and 290 coming together into that light. But we're back up to 65 miles an hour and cruising. That will not last to downtown. It just, got caught at that light. So that's why it's open here. But this is a pretty typical drive at 9 a.m. If you have some flexibility in your schedule and you can move at 9 a.m., you can get on the road at 9 a.m., it's not a bad drive. You're, like I said, from Belterra, you're going to have roughly 30 minutes to downtown, depending on where your office is. Good time to catch some audiobooks and podcasts and stuff like that, make some phone calls, but it's not overbearing to where you're just on the road for an hour and miserable. I mentioned Brody Lane. This would be the exit for Brody. from 290. And this would also take you to Mopac South if you were trying to get down to Circle C. Crossing over Monterey Oaks here, it's another one of those east-west roads. Not a very long one. It basically goes from right here, this neighborhood to our left, over to Mopac, so it doesn't go very far. But there's some commercial stuff in there. Just have a Baylor Scott and White clinic that just opened up right there. And there was also, I'm exiting on Mopac North now. There's a flyover here. When I mentioned 1826 and the HEB back there at 290, there's also a major hospital and a lot of clinics in around that area. I don't want to tell you the name of the hospital. I don't want to get it wrong, but it's been there. I think it's Seton Southwest. I might have that wrong though, but that's where a majority of people go. There's more and more clinics and things opening up in Dripping Springs. There's not a hospital proper that is the closest hospital, but again, from my house, that thing is about 12 minutes away, so it's close. Coming through Sunset Valley right now, there's a lot of commercial here in Sunset Valley, kind of like Westlake. It's its own little town in here. So that's where there's a lot of restaurants. There's a Best Buy, Academy, Specs, Wine and More. Is it called Wine and More? I can't remember the name. Total Wines, that's what it's called. And again, a lot of restaurants in there. So a great little, a little commercial area, retail area for shopping. Nordstrom Rack, Kohl's, things like that. Walmart, Target, all of that stuff is there. So we're crossing over Barton Creek now. This is the Barton Creek that comes out in Barton Springs. And we're coming up on Loop 360, also called Capital of Texas Highway. So Loop 360 goes from 290 to our east right now, to our right. And it goes all the way around Austin. On the west side, Austin's great about putting in loops that don't really loop the entire town. But it goes through to the west side back to Mopac on the north side. Now, the only downside about 360 is that they put a bunch of damn stoplights in there and don't really have the right of way to put overpasses in. So it's great for getting around to Westlake and things like that, but it doesn't really save you time getting around to the north side of Austin. Mopac is still your best option to do that. As we're coming up over here, that was 360. We just crossed over. We're coming up on Barton Skyway. To the left, it's Barton Hills, or Barton Springs Mall, Barton Hills Mall, I believe. And this area to our left over here is known as Rollingwood and Westlake. Westlake is its own municipality out here. They've got their own city government, their own cops, very highly sought after area. Eanes ISD, it's Westlake High School, a very highly sought after high school. And most of these areas have a commute to downtown of 10 to 15 minutes. So, you can tell why it's sought after in here. Mopac here is 3 lanes going north, 3 lanes coming south. I wish they would add additional lanes. They have not done so yet. You can kind of see downtown starting right over here. That's the skyscrapers you can begin to see. But again, there are plans for potentially extending this in some way, shape, or form. Don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but it is in plans. This building right over here that I just passed on the left, that was Intel. So again, tech. That's basically the beginning of the Southwest Tech Corridor, or that's what I would consider it anyway. But that is Intel's main building here in Austin. Just to give you an idea here, here's the main exit for Rollingwood and Westlake Hills. 2244 is the road that goes all the way out to Loop 360 out by Steiner Ranch and Lakeway. And I know I'm telling you places that don't make sense, but if you're looking at a map and you come across Steiner Ranch and Lakeway, okay, well, there's a road there that goes to downtown basically, and that's the road, 2244. Also goes out to Vandergrift High School, which is another very highly sought after high school out there in the Leander ISD. So as we're coming over Westlake Drive and our Rollingwood Drive there to our left, now you can see downtown. The skyline has changed, guys. It doesn't look like Austin anymore. It looks like a major metro area. Sorry, that's just me being a little bit bitter at this point. But it is what it is. And, I've grown to live with it. And you can see the major part of downtown over here on the left. Crossing, this is Zilker Park on our right. Crossing over Barton Springs Drive. And that's where you go to Barton Springs and Zilker Park. And that's bringing us up to the lake right here. So if you're going downtown, which I'm not, you would take off here at either 5th Street or Cesar Chavez. Cesar Chavez becomes 1st Street, and that is just the 1st Street to the north of the lake. And this again is the Colorado River, Lake Austin. This is your main access to get downtown if you're in downtown proper. Now, I mentioned them extending, and the video is going to go a little bit. I'm going to explain a few more things. I mentioned them expanding the lanes on Mopac on the south side of the lake. What I'm scared of is that they're going to do what they did here on the north side of the lake, which is just put in a one-lane toll road that changes its pricing according to traffic. You can see traffic right now, 9 a.m., not very bad. I've been talking for 20 minutes, so it would take you about 25 minutes to get to downtown from that area. You know, and like I mentioned, 30 minutes from Belterra. But here on the north side, you can see Mopac Express Lane or Mopac's toll to the left, and really nobody's on it. Right now, it would take you it would cost 50 cents to get on that lane and go up to 183. It would cost you $1.50 to go up to Palmer Lane, which is further north, or all the way at the end, 45 on the north side, which is essentially Round Rock. But there's really not a reason to take it at this time of day. You can tell I'm right here. Now, we just crossed two other roads, and this will be the last thing I mentioned to you. We just crossed two other roads, Enfield there, and Windsor up here that we're coming to. Enfield basically will get you to 15th Street, which if you're going to the Capitol Complex area or to the university, your exit would be Enfield. That just takes you a little bit higher up than downtown proper. But again, it's another minute on Mopac, so there's not a noticeable difference in the amount of time that it's going to take you to get to that area. Now, once you get off of Mopac, you are going to have to deal with surface level streets. You're going to have to deal with the traffic and traffic lights. But again, not too bad. So for as large as Austin has grown, you can see on this side getting in from Southwest Austin, there is not all, I'll flip this around real quick as I'm driving. There's not all that much that you've got to deal with. Again, if you leave at 7 a.m., 7:30, 8 o'clock, it's a different animal. It's going to take you a little bit longer. You're going to have that traffic. But again, even for a major metro area with 2.3 million people at this point, you're just not having to deal with as much traffic as a lot of other areas that are either bigger. I know San Francisco's bigger, DFW is bigger, New York, obviously we're not even going to talk about because we all know that that's a crap show when it comes to traffic. And Houston, Houston is about 7 million people, San Antonio about 3 million, and the traffic is a lot worse. I've driven those towns, at rush hour, and it's a lot worse than Austin. Now, I'm also not going to say anything about I-35 at this time of day because I-35 at any time of day is pretty bad. So, you may want to avoid I-35 as much as humanly possible, but sometimes you just have to, get on it. But, guys, what I'm going to take you to next after this is a video on some of these top subdivisions, so you get an idea of what I'm talking about, the areas that I'm talking about in this video. And again, if you want me to make any of these drives for you, just let me know. I'm more than happy to do that.